Great. Okay, so welcome to the CAS Secondary online community. Thank you ever so much for making time to join us. I'm going to hand over to the first of our guests, Matt from the Digitall Foundation. Welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Pete. No, really appreciate being here, and thanks for everyone, like Pete said, for making the time. I know how difficult it is at the end of a sort of a long day with kids and all the other pressures on all of us all the time in schools. So it's a real pleasure to be here, and yeah, absolutely thank you. So like Peter said, I'm from an organisation called Digitall. We're a charity who focus on providing sort of computing, coding, curriculum orientated sort of enrichment and support effectively. We're a fairly young organisation. We've only really been fully operating for around a year and a half. So if any of you have actually heard of us, I'd be really impressed and over the moon if any of you actually had. And if not, that's probably better because it makes it more valid me actually talking to you guys if you've heard of us, and maybe there's not so much for me to say. So I'll just hoping to run through a little bit about who we are today, and hopefully putting us on your radar and explaining why we hope that we can be a positive contributor to what you guys are, the amazing work, the hard work that you guys are doing in the classroom day in, day out, as well as one of the sort of headline, focusing in a little bit on one of the headline things that we're sort of piloting and releasing fully very soon. Piloting at the moment, releasing fully at the very soon. So I think I can share, can't I?
Hopefully.
Let's have a look. Yes, I want this one. So there we go. So yeah, here is our website, and I'll pop the link in the chat for you guys as well, in case you guys want to have over and have a look. And please do sort of consider signing up for the mailing list or anything like that if it is of interest to you, of course. But I don't want to try and sort of force things upon people that they're not interested in. So we are like I say, small charity focused on developing sort of digital skills, coding skills, technical skills. Pete Marshman is the CEO of the charity, and many people have heard of Pete Marshman. So there's more chance of you having heard of Pete than me, or maybe Digitall. But there we go. That's definitely a good thing. So it's run by Pete. He's the CEO, and I support. I'm the community and education lead, so I'll help him with the day-to-day running of the actual charity. And in a nutshell, what we want to do is to help provide opportunities for teachers to be delivering enrichment or the delivery of the curriculum in a way that is as impactful as possible, that is free for teachers, and in a way that will have the biggest, what we hope to be, results on sort of student engagement and take up with the subject. So there's a whole myriad of things that we do offer, and I'm not going to go through each one in minutiae or anything like that. I will just kind of have a real quick whiz through some of the stuff that we do. Suffice to say, everything that we do or try to do comes down to trying to provide some sort of context. And it's, I'm a computer science teacher by background, head of department for sort of 10 or so years before sort of doing some work in primary schools, and then alongside that and then sort of moved more into Digitall and doing teacher training, which is sort of the role that I hold now primarily. One of the things I always found was that computing is such a creative subject, but I'd get around to doing some Python or something like that with students, and I'm always kind of just going through the same old, well, look, here's this print statement, here's this input statement, here's this output statement, and constantly just getting people to write these 2 lines of code, for example. What was your name? Input, what was your name? Output, hello, and then the name. I've lost count the amount of times I've written those 2 particular lines of code in front of some sort of 11-year-olds, for example. The point being is that what I always wanted to be doing is producing things that had context and some felt like it had a bit more real world application. Now, there's a high degree of chance that all of you guys are much better than me and are doing that already, but it really felt like I didn't have the time, often the capacity, to develop sort of those resources with more context, more package to them. And so that's kind of at the one of the other kind of core things that we're doing all the time, is thinking about, if we're producing something, trying to, whether it's a CPD or a workshop or a scheme of work or resource, we're trying to produce things that have got some, one, valid application to the curriculum, two, some benefit for you guys in your workload, but three is context orientated, because we feel it's more engaging, and we feel that the research shows that's more impactful for a wider group of different sort of learners and demographics and things like that. So that's in a nutshell kind of where we're coming from. So the broad kind of pillars that we offer within that are, I suppose, resources, and we've got a whole variety of resources, again, all free, often using the microbit or Scratch, and it's orientated around Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3. So there's hopefully some good things that you guys can be thinking about using at secondary. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but we will be focusing on this coding for climate action in a moment. Training, so we have free CPD training for teachers from primary school all the way up to A level. So again, all of this is free, and it's all short, sharp training sessions. Again, trying to be considerate of time and capacity. So about an hour, and always starting at 4 o'clock. So there's a whole host of free CPD that you can jump on if that's something that would be ever beneficial to you guys. And then the third main thing we have as well is I suppose is grants. We are also the UK partner of the Meet and Code, which is the EU initiative. So some of you might be aware and have sort of utilised this the start of this academic year. We can give grants of up to £1,200 to schools, as long as there's a charitable aspect to that school, for example, a PTA that has a charity number. And there's no real remit around what you would claim that grant for, as long as it's digital in nature. Yeah, so it could be some enrichment club or enrichment activity that you want to have some extra money to buy some kit for. Well, that would be perfect, like a great example of what this could applies to. So again, please do, if that's of any interest, sign up and have a look, and you'll get updates as to when applications open for next academic year. And the final thing, broadly speaking, is Code Awards, which is our awards program that it's our first year of running it here, and so submissions are open. So again, it's one of those things where, as a teacher, I've always got these so many amazing students that are always helping out in the classroom, help other people, really engaged, or those students who go away and they're real hobbyists, for example, and are doing so much outside of the classroom, and they just love the subject and they engage with it, and they just want to tell you about it all the time. And it's like, well, you can wallow in their awesomeness, and that's okay, that's brilliant, but it's just that we figured these awards are just a way of you being able to recognize them a little bit more, and sort of enter them for sort of awards or prizes or recognition for just being brilliant sort of young computer scientists effectively. So again, there's a few different categories. I won't go through them all because I'll just be here all day and I'll probably bore the hell out of you, but please do have a look at the different categories and see the videos from our ambassadors, and think about whether, hopefully that's something that might be good for you guys and some of the students in your particular places. So that's us in a nutshell. I'm going to nip over to my prepared presentation now. Now I've rambled a little bit, and just focus in on this resource that we're running at the moment, developing, called Coding for Climate Action, which is something that we've developed in partnership with Amazon Future Engineer. And I've kind of talked around who we are a little bit, so hopefully this is not anything that I need to worry about too much for now. But please give me any shout if there's any questions or anything like that. But one of the things that we've been working on for a while, and you might have seen it in the resources, we've got some resources called Sustainable Physical Computing. When we talk about that context and wanting to bring context into what we do, climate is one of the ones that we have orientated around. It's something that's, for a couple of reasons. One, like for me, it's something I'm really super passionate about individually, and that's not unusual, of course. but it's something that's really important to me. If it can make it part of the work that we're doing, that's important to me. I'm really sort of motivated and passionate about that. But two, like I say, it's not unusual passion at all, and it's very evident as a passion, as something that's important to the next generation as well. And so we're always considerate of how we can try and marry what we're doing with a context that is relevant, but also relevant and has hopefully some cut through with young people, which we would argue is this. Furthermore, it does create that sort of idea about when you think about introducing contexts such as climate, it does introduce further cross-curricular aspects, which, especially at secondary, it's hard to really kind of zero in on lots of different cross-curricular aspects, but it's good to be able to show that broad world in which we sit, and that kind of the way in which what we do has real world relationship, or tangible relationships with the world in other areas. So that's kind of part of the thinking about this particular sort of context, as well as increasing the resilience amongst young people, which is, this is a great subject for developing resilience. So I think that's a real positive thing. And then, of course, physical computing being something that can, you can see tangible sort of outputs and impacts and results of the coding that you're doing, and make it engage with the real world around you, which of course is, I think, a really fun way to be, as a teacher, to be delivering the subject, and I'd hope as a student to be enjoying the subject as well. And of course, just that idea of contact with nature and relationship with nature and association with nature is, it's well understood that is a massive way to improve well-being of, it says here pupils, but anyone's well-being. So I think it's something that's a massively important area to work in, and hopefully it's something that's something you guys would agree with as well. So we'd already developed a sort of suite of physical computing resources, and some of them are available to download. And then we partnered with Amazon to develop a very focused scheme of work called Coding for Climate Action. Now that is available for you to use right now. It's open and available. It's still in the pilot phase, but at the start of March, it will be released officially. And it was going to be almost exactly the same as what it looks like in the pilot phase, with some minor tweaks and developments and things like that. So I'll share the sort of links that you need for it in a minute, and if it's something that interests you, please have a nose around and a look, and hopefully it's something that can have some impact at your place. So it's a 6-lesson scheme of work. So this half term would have not been okay. But there we go. So we've got 2 of them, one for Key Stage 2 and one for Key Stage 3, and there's some overlap between the two of them, but they're broadly very different. So if your local primary school was delivering it, for example, you would still be able to run it in year 7 or 8 without thinking, well, actually, the students have kind of experienced the totality of this already. It's mapped to the national curriculum, and we've also mapped it to the teacher computing curriculum as well. Just because only because, not to try and sort of take work away from you or anything like that. I'm an absolute advocate and paid up, inverted commas, user of the teacher computing curriculum at all key stages where they offer it. I think they're brilliant, and as such, I think it was important for us to map to it to show hopefully the standard that we're trying to reach, because that's something we definitely aspire to. So what the unit of work is number 1, covering the sort of Key Stage 3 computing national curriculum. 2, introducing physical computing, i.e. the microbit and the different kind of core functionalities of the microbit. So they've got 2 kind of areas of development with regards to computing, and the context is to sort of learn those things while also developing and learning about early warning systems, real life early warning systems, which are used to mitigate the impacts of natural disasters that happen as a result of the climate crisis. So we're not trying to say we're trying to stop the climate crisis. That's a very big thing, but we are talking about how we can try and use technology to mitigate it, and hopefully develop some of those engineering and critical thinking and computational thinking skills that people should be applying in order to go ahead and be the next generation of people to try and actually have a part in resolving the climate crisis rather than responding to it. So that's the kind of the overview of the unit of work. let me know. I sure you guys can see the slide that I'm sharing as well, because it's popped up in a funny window. So do actually let me know if you can't see the sort of PowerPoint that I'm sharing. So there are six lessons, which you can see there, and those of you, I'm sure we're all aware of microbits, but you can sort of see some of the different ways that you might be using the microbits there. We've got the sensors, radio pins, earthquake, early warning system. You know, we've got the sort of the shake input as well as some radio aspect to it as well.
Sorry
Of
to
course, you
interrupt,
know, we're
Matt.
trying.
We can
Yeah.
just see the website in the background. I don't know if you've got slides that you want to
Oh
show.
no. Okay.
It's
All
been
right.
relevant. I mean,
Okay.
it's alongside what you've been saying, and it's all good what you're saying. If you've
Fantastic.
got slides to share, that'd be great.
No, thank you, Pete. Yeah, I do have slides to share. Let me reshare. I skipped. Oh, it's a different tab. There we go. Okay. So there we go. It's this. Can we see this, presumably? Now, if I present it, it probably won't, because it's in Canva, so it probably won't work quite the way we want it to.
But we can see it there. That's great. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right, no problem. So yeah, we can see that this is all the stuff that I was talking about. Okay, so I looked much more articulate maybe than I actually was, which is no bad thing either. So as I was saying, it's sort of, yeah, we have got utilization of six lesson scheme of work that utilizes accepted pedagogy. We've got lesson plans that come with it, mapped to national curriculum and teach computing curriculum, a workbook, work journal, activity journal for students to record their work in. So one method by which you can try and capture progress and complete assessment. And we've also got a whole host of online recorded and live training resources for this as well, because we do realize it being a new scheme of work and not everybody is comfortable with microbits, for example, or is maybe new to the subject in general. So we've got sort of videos, on-demand videos that go through each lesson and training. You can sign up to chat to me or Pete if you want to go through any particular aspects of this. I'm just conscious of time, so I don't want to sort of overrun and be a nuisance for other people who are wanting to ask questions or the sort of headliners we've got coming after me. So I will probably pause there. I mean, I've talked already about this idea of real world context being important, as well as the different aspects of utilizing the microbit, for example, radio transmission and data logging. So I think we're okay on the sales pitch. I think. Let me check. There's nothing else that I want to just put in front of you. No, I think we're okay. So that will be fine to show you the prepared presentation, which I will send out afterwards. The final couple of things then is, if you want to actually have a look at the resources yourself, I'll pop this link in the chat. So because we've partnered with Amazon, you have to go through their website in order to get the resources. So I'll pop that link for you there. Great. Sorry, Richard, I've just picked up your question about which version of the microbit. I think it's ideal to have version 2. Off the top of my head, I think it's okay with version 1 mostly though. I think, but when there's data logging, the version 1 doesn't do the data logging the same as competently as version 2, and data logging is like one of the first lessons. So and when there's warnings going on as well, the version 2 has got the inbuilt speaker rather than you needing to have the headphones. So version 1, I mean, we'll be okay with some tinkering, but I generally think you'd probably lose a little bit of impact by using the version 1, to be honest with you. But salesman moment, if you need some version 2s, well, maybe there's a grant that we can offer you can apply for that could do some funding, offer you the funding you need in order to buy the version 2s. So hopefully that would help out there. So yeah, we've got the Amazon website here, Key Stage 3 materials. So if you jump to there, and it's got a couple little breakdowns. If it's just me, I always just click on all materials, because these are just links to a Google Drive document. So just in this Google Drive that you'll see here. So you can see all of the lessons here. You do just grab and use. There's the workbook here that the students complete. So you need a way of course, disseminating that to students is fine. But we've obviously tried to keep everything electronic rather than having anything that theoretically be printed. This is and I'm not going to go into each document, guys. This is the mapping of the kind of the learning objectives against Teach Computing and the national curriculum. And then if I just show you one of the sort of for lessons, you can see there's a PowerPoint and which it won't work to open up a separate tab, so never mind. But there's a lesson plan for each of the lessons as well. And then finally, we kind of oversee. So Amazon kind of hold the access to the resources, but we oversee all of like the training, the support, the delivery, and we wrote most of the resources, particularly at Key Stage 3. There's a lot more partnership with Key Stage 2. So just this page here will take you to kind of our supporting materials, a lot of the stuff that I've just talked about, but then links to recorded CPD for each session, and any forthcoming live CPD that you might want to come on. If you have not, if you feel like you want to hear even more from me, then by all means come and jump on one of those calls. Hopefully that's useful, guys. I know there's quite a lot there. I'm a teacher, so I'm not used to presenting things in a way to say, hey, come and click on this and do this and get involved with this. So all I hope is there's something there that's really useful for you guys, and because we're just trying to help you do, be as good as you can be. I know you're already amazing, but we just want to be a part of your success stories, really. So yeah, any questions, pop them in the chat or just ask me. But other than that, Pete, I hope that's been a comprehensive enough kind of tour of what we're doing.
Matt, thank you so much. That's really helpful. I've seen the Code for Climate promoted in all sorts of different places, and people have only got positive things to say about it. I haven't tried it out yet, but it's been on my to-do list for a long time. I have applied for one of the grants, and I was really pleasantly surprised. Sometimes when you apply for a grant, you have to put so much time and effort and energy to get a limited amount of funding, but that was definitely not my experience of Digitall. I'd strongly recommend applying for those. The admin team are super helpful, and if it means you can get a class set of microbits to do the Code for Climate, I think that sounds fantastic. So thank you. That is really exciting. Florian, I think you're set up as a presenter, so it's great to see both you and Laura from Ocado. So looking forward to hearing what you've got for us. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. So I'm just going to share so Laura can start talking about Code for Life.
Just want to say thanks to Matt as well. That was a fantastic overview of Digitall. I've been watching it from the sidelines. I spoke to Pete when he was first kind of setting it up, and no, really good to see. Okay, so my name's Laura. I'm an engineering team lead, and I'm here with my colleague Florian, who's a senior software engineer in the team. And we're both from Code for Life, which is a not-for-profit initiative from Ocado Group. Next slide, please, Ryan. Okay, so many primary and secondary schools struggle to teach the programming aspects of the national curriculum, and it's often exacerbated due to issues with staffing or access to computing devices. Code for Life was started up in 2014 by volunteers in Ocado Technology, basically in response to computing being introduced into the national curriculum. We've now got a full-time team. It's very small, but we've been building on our resources ever since then, with the help of volunteers and teachers. We've obviously got access to the whole of Ocado Technology, so they all feed into it. And we've had over 600,000 users register with us since we started. The website's currently used in over 180 countries, and across both primary and secondary schools. Rapid Router, which is our flagship game, is based on our own Ocado delivery vans, was designed to support all teachers, so with all abilities, not necessarily a background in computing too, but with their programming lessons. So all of our resources are aligned to the UK national curriculum, covering key stages 1 to 4, and Rapid Router focuses on those key stages 1 to 3. Alongside the two games, we provide lesson plans and videos and solutions. Next slide, please, Florian. There we go. So this slide's showing some examples of our resources, and we host these on Gitbook, which are accessible through our website if you're logged in as a teacher. At the beginning of the lesson plans, they explain the objective of the lesson, what the teachers will need, and what the pupils will learn. We have student worksheets that are everything's printable and downloadable, and we have self-assessments, videos that sit within the Rapid Router levels, just helping to explain those new concepts as they're introduced. And we're looking to build up on those videos within Rapid Router this year. Next slide, please, Florian. So this is showing the Rapid Router interface of the game and what it looks like for a student. It's slightly different for student and teacher, and we'll get you to have a little look at this a bit later yourselves. But you can see you've got the work area, the workspace on the left, and the game view on the right. There are directional arrows throughout the first few levels for the younger students, but obviously these disappear fairly quickly. And as secondary, you wouldn't use those levels. There are step-through solutions as well for the teachers. And you can stop and play and mute sounds as well, because we've got some sounds on there. The teacher view has a solve button, which is pretty useful, and also has the ability to load custom levels, which we'll talk a little bit more about later as well. But the idea is that you use the blocks to direct the van to the destination. So it's echoing that Ocado delivery of delivering the goods to the door. Next slide, please, Florian. Okay, and so in Rapid Router, the levels are kind of broken down into structured teaching units, and these are linked to lesson plans online. We have rather a lot of levels, and we are building some in more, but the idea is that you kind of can pick and choose which bits you want to use. We are introducing buttons a bit later in the year as well to make these guides a bit more accessible, and supported by slides too. So they'll all be editable for you to make them as you need them. Next slide, please. Even though it starts off using Blockly and we're dragging the blocks across to move the van, it does progress gradually through those levels, and it starts introducing Python. So at one stage the screen will split, and as the blocks are dragged across, you can see the Python underneath. So the students are gradually introduced to it before those blocks get taken away at a later stage, and then they'll just use Python to control the van. There are some new levels coming soon. You can see that on the greyed out area on the right, and we will be talking about that a little bit later. There's a chance to kind of have access to some beta sessions and give us some feedback. So Florian will talk about that a little bit later. And at the bottom of the page, you'll see some yellow blocks there. This is where custom levels appear. So when teachers or students create custom levels, they will appear in this section, and you can access those as a class or as a teacher. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the create section. So you can see on the page that we've got some scenery and some code. So you can create the maps however you want. They can be super bendy, lots of dead ends, whatever you want. You can drag in some scenery, and you can choose whether the level will be completed with blocks, with Blockly, or with split screen, so that you get that visibility of the Python, or whether it's just Python only. And you can choose variables too, such as traffic lights or cows. We have got cows now, which we introduced this year, so they might get in the way.
You can't run the cows over though, right, Laura?
You can't run the cows over. No, they make a moo noise and then they disappear magically.
If the van actually drives towards the car, then it's the van that breaks down and the cow's fine.
Yeah, the van breaks, exactly. It's a really useful feature, this one, because it allows the students to create their own levels and share, and it also allows the teachers to create levels and share between classes too, so they can share amongst the school. But yeah, really good way of learning. Next slide, please, Florian. And we have progress tracking and a teacher dashboard. So all of the scores that the students get pulled into this scoreboard with this RAG color code system on the right. And this will highlight areas of concern if maybe some students are struggling in certain sections, then it will pull that up and suggest maybe you might need to repeat that lesson. And maybe run over it again with particular students. And this will all be highlighted below. And again, Florian's going to show you a little bit more about how that works later on, I think. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to just paste this into the chat. Hopefully this will work. Right, so I've pasted a link in the chat, and it should let you go to level 10 in Rapid Research, because you can access it without logging in or signing up. But anything you do, the progress won't be saved. So it does let you try it out though. So you should be able to get into level 10 and have a little look round how the interface works. You can get out of that level by exiting and try other levels in the section. But I encourage you to have a go, look around. It's taking you to level 5, not 10. That's interesting. Maybe I pasted the wrong link in.
Seems like the link in the slide is to level 5, yeah, for some reason.
Okay, well, you can have a go at level 5.
Well, yeah.
You can change the 5 to the 10 in the URL, and that seems to take you there. It looks fab. Looks really good.
Yeah. So yeah, have a little play around there. And I believe, Florian, you're going to show a bit more detail about different sections while people can have a play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to have to quickly change the tab I'm sharing, I think. So yes, I'm going to do a quick demo about a few more features that we have in the game itself. So the first thing I want to talk about is the scoring system that we have in the game. So in the later levels after the first episode, we introduce a few more variables, like the students will have to start thinking about finding the shortest route to get to the house. So in this case here, I'm going to click on the solve button here because I am logged in as a teacher. So the teachers are provided with a solve button, like Laura mentioned. So when I click solve, I get the solution straight into the workspace here. And then as I can click play and see the van go, and as I see that, I should get the scores at the end. So the levels, most of the levels will have 2 scores. We have a root score and an algorithm score. In this case, the root score would go down if I went on another route, on one of the longer routes in the level, for example. And the algorithm score is based on the number of blocks that are used in the level. So that comes into play a bit later when we look at loops, and so it kind of encourages the students to use loops instead of repeating loads and loads of blocks. So like I mentioned, the solve button is really useful for teachers as well to be able to get the solutions on their screen straight away. The level solutions are also accessible from Gitbook, where we have all of our other resources as well. And I want to quickly go through a level for the loops, for example. I wanted to look at this level here. So we have a few levels in this episode where the students have to identify a pattern in the road so that they can decide which kind of algorithm to repeat. So again, if I click solve here, we can see that we used a repeat block here to show the students that it's more effective to use this instead of just repeating all the different move forwards and turn lefts and all that kind of stuff. And later levels in episode 4, I believe, or episode 5, the if only. This is where we introduce concepts for selection, for example. So if I look at this level here, something else I wanted to mention, actually, sorry, is that some of the levels have videos embedded in the pop-up, which are essentially a small introduction to the concept that we're trying to talk about here. So in this case, yeah, we're teaching about if-else, and yeah, this is an example of teaching the students about when to decide whether to go left, right, or forwards within a loop as well. So I'm going to share the presentation again now. I think that worked. Yeah, cool. Oh yeah, so this is to talk about how to get started as a teacher on Code for Life. So yes, I need to paste this in the chat. So I just pasted a link here to our registration form here, which you can go through in your own time later. But essentially, the way that it works is you can register as a teacher, and that will ask you to verify your accounts in the email that you get. And once you've verified your email, you can log in. As you log in, you'll be able to create a school for yourself, and you'll be able to create classes in your school and add pupils to your classes. And later down the line, other teachers can join your school. You can invite them, and then you can manage the different classes and different students in your school as well. You can make other teachers admins. What's really useful is as you add the students to the system, we generate login details for them. So you'll be given passwords and usernames for them, but there are different options as well if you'd rather use a direct login link, because sometimes we find that students struggle with login details, so we provide that option for a direct login link if it's easier. And these are all downloadable and printable. And yes, we invite you to follow us on social media as well, and sign up to our newsletter where we shout out about new features and other events that we're hosting and things like that. And we also kind of keep track of any user requests or any bugs that people want to flag. So we can always be contacted at codeforife@ocado.com for any questions or bugs. So I want to talk about a new Python module that we're working on as well. So we've been working on this new module focused on Python using RapidRouter as well as the Raspberry Pi text editor. So we've been working on new lesson plans, which will provide step-by-step guidance for these lessons, as well as editable slides and worksheets, all of which are printable as well. And we'll be providing answers for the teachers as well in all these worksheets. And this is currently in a beta testing stage. If you're interested in that, I'll go into more detail about what the content of it is in a minute. But if you're interested in that, and please get in touch, and we can we'd love to know your feedback on this. I'm just reading this in the chat. We've been using Ocado at our school. Oh, that's awesome. It's great to hear. So in terms of the content of this new module, we've currently put together the first 4 lessons. And the idea of this module is that it will take the students from the basics of programming from Hello World all the way to GCSE level. So the first 4 lessons that we have include talking about output, operators, and data, basics of Python, covering common errors and operators and all that. We then go on to variables, input and casting. Then we talk about selection, so if else, and then we move on to complex selection with nested loops as well. And we start talking about debugging in there as well. We're planning to add more to this as well later on, and we'll talk about things like iterating with while loops, selection within a loop, string manipulation, counter loops, lists, and we're planning to finish on subroutines as well. So this is all exciting stuff to come up. Yes, yeah, it is a completely free to use resource as well. And finally, the last thing I want to mention is our second game that we have, which is called Corona, and it is a way to essentially embed skills that the students have developed in Python. And it is a multiplayer game, so essentially you've got this map where you have the avatar moving around. You can imagine it with 15, 20, 30 students in it. And we currently have 4 worksheets for this game. And the idea is to essentially control the avatar using Python. And we build up on different concepts of programming so they can embed their skills in these worksheets as well. And we're always looking for feedback on those as well. So if that's something that you're interested in as well, feel free to reach out. Any questions for us? Thank you very much.
That was fab. Thank you so much for the overview. Could you confirm if Corona is free as well? I haven't used that. It looks really good.
Yes, Corona is free as well. Yes, completely.
That looks fantastic. I'll definitely be checking that out. Brilliant. I hadn't followed through Rapid Router to the point where it becomes Python based. I'd used it a lot with the Blockly, but it looks fantastic for Key Stage 3 for that transition from block based to text based. So thank you for showing us that, especially being able to create your own levels and put cows and things on. That's so fun for creativity, which is so important at Key Stage 3. So thank you ever so much. So if you're okay to stop sharing, Florian, I think we have Prem and Helen. I need to set you up as a presenter if that's okay. Helen, welcome. Is it Prem that is sharing your screen or is it Helen?
That's
or both?
right. Yeah, it's Prem.
Fab. Okay, let me make you a presenter. And then welcome, Prem. It's really nice to see you. Would you like to introduce yourself and over to you?
Yeah, perfect. Hi, hello everyone. It should be short and sharp. And I must admit I've learned quite a lot being on this session, not having any computing background whatsoever. So thank you everyone that presented. So I'm Prem. I work at Oxford University Press as relationship manager, and I work mainly with multi-academy trusts and subject network groups like yourselves. I connected to Becky via LinkedIn because at Oxford University Press, we have developed a new Oxford revision guide for OCR computer science, and we are giving out gratis copies to all heads of computer science. So Becky said, why don't you join the session and offer it out? So whoever wants one can take up on the offer. I'm joined by my colleague Helen Clemson. So Helen looks after the northern region of the UK. So she's just joined me on the session today, and I'm just going to present my slides now. And share my screen. Just give me a thumbs up when you can see that.
Yeah, we can see that. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. I'll bring your screen up in front of me as well. So basically, yes, as I mentioned, OUP have developed a new revision guide. It's based on the cognitive science principles of how best students revise, which is knowledge retrieval practice. As you can see on the slide there, we've included key terms that highlight important vocab that the students will learn within computer science, revision tips on that specific topic. And the students have a lot of exam style practice questions that they can use throughout the topics that they've been learning within the actual classroom. So I've got some sample spread. So I've got a sample spread of the, hold on, it won't let me move the screen. There you go. So this is the knowledge sample spread for the computer science, one of the topics within that. And then we've got the retrieval practice as well, which is a duplicate spread. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you do want to request a free copy of this book, or you need, if there's any other heads of department that you know, do please share our details and we will be happy to send them out. We are offering 50% discount on the Oxford Revised books to all schools, and if your schools do use parent pay, we can extend that offer out to the parents as well. So I'm going to pass on Helen's details to yourselves. So if you take note of that email address and send Helen the postcode and the school name, your full name, she'll get that copy ordered to the school site for you. Anything else you want to add, Helen?
No, just that they've been so popular. I think I've not really got round to contacting all of my 500 schools, but slowly and surely everybody's been like, oh wow, you know, at last something for computer science. And just the whole simplicity of Revise being a simple knowledge retrieval practice approach. It's a revision guide, it's a workbook, it just seems to fit. So it's been greatly received, and I'd love, you know, to send as many of these free copies out. Prem, we don't get the free reign as much, do we? So it's nice to be able to share the love and send all these copies out. So please get in touch. Yeah, and
do give us feedback, because all of the heads of computer science that we have sent out copies to, who have then extended the offer to their students, have absolutely given us great feedback. So once you receive the books, it would be great to receive any feedback, positive and negative. So far we haven't got any negative, but if there's anything,
the only negative, Prem, has been when are you going to do it for the other exam boards, you know, because that's the only negative. That's
the only negative, and then for A-level as well. So yes, definitely request your copy, and if there's any feedback that you want to give, do touch base with Helen and she can feed that back to our publishing teams. And that is pretty much all from us.
So Prem and Helen, that looks absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that free offer. Can I just clarify, there's lots of people who wanted to be here tonight that will watch via video, and there's quite a lot more that are part of the CAS community that couldn't sign up tonight. Are you happy for us to share this offer more widely through the CAS community?
Yeah, absolutely. And I did let Becky know that she could do that too.
Thank you.
If you want, Pete, what I can do, there's an email we sent out to all computer sciences. I can send it out to you and you can just forward it on, because it's got all the details.
Great. Thank you. We love free stuff. We absolutely love free stuff. But sometimes with free stuff, the people assume that it's just not as high quality, but we've seen 3 absolutely fantastic quality, really rigorously quality controlled, tried, tested, open to feedback, well supported projects. So just thank you so much to everybody who has presented and shared. As a teacher, we love it. I think, Matt, you said, I don't want to steal work from you in your opening thing. Anytime you want to steal work from us teachers, you know what it's like. Anytime you want to make resources and share them with us, keep it coming. We love the stuff that all 3 of you create. Thank you for supporting us and making things just a little bit more manageable and sustainable as a computing teacher. We love it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So the question from Matt, can we put it in the Digitall newsletter as well, the link to the textbook?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And can I confirm I don't teach OCR, but can I still get a free copy to adapt and use resources? Is that?
Yeah, you can.
Fab. Thank you. Any other questions from anyone else before we finish? It's really important we finish on time because people are hungry. So in that case, I just want to say all the very best for February half term. Thanks again to everyone who's presented. And if you have any requests for future meetings, do get in touch with me or Becky. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.